On today's Break for Eight, I'm going to share some calming activities to use with a person living with dementia. So, occupational therapists like myself, we use everyday activity as therapy. And when it comes to dementia, I think that finding the right activity can do wonders to, not only increase engagement, to keep people active, but also to distract, to redirect, and to decrease anxiety that can tend to creep up during the day. But how do we know which activity to choose? And I'm going to just tell you right off the bat that sometimes we just have to try. And then if it's not so successful, we just pivot and we do something again the next time. But a successful activity is one, in my mind, that's going to be interesting to them, but not overly challenging to the point that they get frustrated. And I know I've talked before about how we can simplify activity based on a person's cognitive status or how far along they are on the dementia journey. So let me give you an example of a simple activity like doing a puzzle or basic activity. I shouldn't say simple. So early on in dementia, someone is usually able to complete a puzzle. Maybe it's a bigger piece puzzle, as long as they haven't been largely impacted by visual changes or spatial changes. So they can usually put together a puzzle, simple puzzle on their own or maybe with a little bit of assistance. But as dementia progresses into the more moderate stages, putting together an entire puzzle by themselves may become pretty difficult. But maybe we could think about how we still could use a puzzle, but do it a little bit differently. So for example, a person who is struggling to put pieces together, maybe they can still sort those pieces by color or by shape or, by the edge pieces versus the center pieces. And then as dementia advances, maybe a person is still able, right, to kind of see this as a puzzle, but maybe the activity becomes manipulating the pieces or just kind of moving them around the table a little bit from one part of the table to the other. A key thing to keep in mind when we're using activity is the outcome is not important. The benefit is engagement and something purposeful, because we're all human beings and we all need to do this. So in today's Break for Eight, I'm going to focus on activities with a few steps, maybe one or two steps, because these are the kind of activities that are simple enough for most people to do relatively independent, or else maybe with just a little bit of intervention from you. And this is because I know that even though we might want to sit down with a person and do something like a puzzle, oftentimes the point of the activity is to keep our person occupied and safe while we can tend to the other parts of life. The second really important point I want to make is to try to align activity with your person's interests to increase the chance that it's going to hold their attention for more than a minute or two. And the third point is to pay attention to the environment. A chaotic environment that's noisy or has poor lighting or has too much intense lighting or too many distractions is not going to be conducive to calmness, right? Overstimulation can really exacerbate dementia symptoms. Fourth point, pay attention to the time of day. If your person is tired or they tend to sundown, they are going to need a little bit more help initiating and maybe sustaining activity during these times. Or if they get stuck, just need a little bit of help to get back on track. Or, it might be you might be better off just choosing an activity that incorporates less step or maybe even movement if they are a person who is calmed by moving. Or conversely, maybe they need to sit down if their balance becomes a little bit more unsteady. So I'm going to give you a list of some of my favorite calming activities. First of all, let's talk about just group activities that we can all do together. Playing Name That Tune. Playing songs that are familiar to your person and then just kind of seeing how long it takes them to start singing along. Oftentimes I'll time them and we can kind of make a game out of that. Number two, use familiar and simple games. Bingo. It's always a favorite if we're doing that in a group. Card games like Uno, or movement-based games like volleyball with a balloon, or cornhole, where you toss this beanbag into a hole. And if it's important to your person to be productive and useful, try tasks that are more individual, like watering plants or folding the towels or washcloths or buttoning up the shirts. Other productive tasks can be polishing coins, polishing silverware, or if your person is kind of handy, sanding, blocks of wood. There's kind of a goal to this activity, and it involves doing something productive. Do you have someone with an artistic flair that's really creative? How about arranging fake flowers, or maybe just grouping them by color? Or another creative activity idea would be cutting pictures out from a magazine with like safety scissors, but though to assemble into a collage. Or maybe just tracing projects, tracing items or designs, or gluing like seeds on designs, threading pasta, threading buttons or yarn. But I will say a word of caution with using small pieces, especially in more advanced stages of dementia. Sometimes those small pieces like a bead or a seed or something like that can be, or even a button, can be mistaken for food. So just be aware that the brain might not be correctly identifying that object anymore, and you could actually have someone ingest something that they could choke on. Okay, that aside, for craft projects that have more than one step, people may need a little of assistance initiating that activity. One of my favorite activities is those adult coloring pages. And seriously, people who do not have an artistic bone in their body, like myself, love adult coloring pages. And that's kind of become a sort of a trend with people who don't have dementia diagnoses, right? What I will find sometimes is that I may need to select the colored pencils for them. Or if they're kind of staring at the page, I may need to kind of start filling in a few spaces, then maybe they can match it with the appropriate color. So kind of just some ideas on how you can simplify that adult coloring page. If they've always enjoyed cooking, or they kind of are a snacker and like snacks, like who doesn't, try thinking of some cooking activities like decorating cookies, frosting cookies. Those are simple one-step cooking tasks. I've talked about making trail mix before. I've actually had people get really into kind of counting out the exact pieces of trail mix, peanuts and raisins and M&Ms or whatever you're using. And that can take quite a bit of time to kind of evenly distribute the ingredients. Of course, another word of caution, if you're doing something in the kitchen, it may be nice to have someone present in the room just to make sure things aren't getting too messy for you to have to clean up later. So speaking of cleaning, how about vacuuming, dusting, loading silverware from the dishwasher to the drawer, or unloading it, I guess, wiping off windows, wiping off countertops or tables. Those can all be good tasks for someone to feel useful around the house. Tactile or touchy-feely activities can be really calming, especially when they feel soft or comforting. So a few examples are cutting out patterns from felt, again with safety scissors, or organizing different colors of felt squares, or tying fringe on fleece blankets, putting cotton balls into a jar or back into the bag. Other tasks just to keep their mind occupied, organizing sewing boxes, toolbox, sorting nuts and bolts and screws. I mean, you may just want to clear out a sewing box or a toolbox and just add back in contents that are safe, right? And just have them be able to explore, touch and explore, and move things around. And finally, when I am with a person living with dementia, I almost always have their favorite music playing, because music can really just transform the environment and set the mood for everybody. And during our meditation portion today, I thought I would do something a little bit different, and that is a movement meditation called Tai Chi. You've probably heard of this. And I'm going to do and show you a few simple basic Tai Chi movements I think you're going to like for yourself. And we'll do a seated version of Tai Chi. And then if you think that your person might enjoy it, you can play it for them and see if they like it. And I will say, if you do like it, if you like Tai Chi, I think just that combination of movement and music can be really, really relaxing. But you can find tons of, beginner Tai Chi videos on the internet. If you Google seated Tai Chi for seniors or something like that, you're bound to have a whole bunch that pop up. So I'm going to just pause the video here and I'm going to get in position to take you through a little bit of Tai Chi. Well, welcome to the other side of my room, right? There's just a little bit more light here. The light's going down for the day. So we're going to go ahead and begin our Tai Chi. So like I said, we're going to have our feet planted on the floor. I'd like you to be sitting in a chair or on the couch, but have your back away from the backrest. And then your arms are just going to rest at your side. So we are going to begin with a breath. And as we do our breath, we're going to just breathe in and raise our hands, palms up, and then we're going to breathe out. Lower your hands, palm down. And I think what I do is I'm going to show you the movements and then we'll put it all together at the end. So we're going to breathe in, palms up, breathe out, palms down. It's the first movement. Pretty simple, right? Okay, next movement is called around the platter. So we're going to put our hands palms down, a little bit out in front of us. Elbows are bent a little bit. And we're just going to think about tracing a platter. Think about a platter, a big circle platter that's in front of you. And you are just going to move your arms as though you were kind of just tracing the platter with your fingertips. If you notice, I am not reaching way out in front of me, right? My arms just stay with the elbows a little bit bent as I bring them away from my body and toward my body. And I'm also not moving my trunk. And then when I cue you, we'll just go in the reverse order. So that is around the platter. The next one is circle the drum. So now we're going to think about holding a big, can't remember the big drum the drummers hold, but we're going to think about a drum right here. And just like we did with the platter, we're going to circle the drum. So again, we're just bringing our arms up and out and then back in, kind of like we have our palms resting on the drum and we're just moving our hands around the perimeter. And then when I cue you, we'll just reverse directions. Okay, that's movement 3. Next movement is called carry the ball. So we're going to just act like we're holding a little bit of a ball in our hand. And then we're just going to move the ball to one side, kind of lift it up over our head and bring it back down to our lap. And then when I cue you, we're going to move it to the other side, kind of like we're just carrying the ball. And then next one, let's see, what was I going to do? Oh, we're going to turn the ball. So we're going to pretend like we're still holding that ball, but now we're going to just turn the ball. So it's one arm is going to go up while the other one goes down. And then we'll just switch sides. You can also kind of think of this as like holding onto a steering wheel. But as you can see in this movement, the palms kind of face one another. And after each movement, we just bring our palms down to our lap. Next movement is called push-pull. So this time we're going to put our hands, palms out away from us, and then we're just going to push away. And then we're going to turn our hands, our palms toward us, and we're going to pull back. So it's going to be push, pull. So for our final movement, I'm going to simplify a move called sweeping or passing clouds, passing clouds. So we're going to turn your body one direction. Your palms are going to face one another. And again, elbows are a little bit bent. And this time you're going to move your trunk. So we're going to turn toward our hands with our trunk. And we're just going to move our trunk. We're going to hold our arms steady, but our trunk moves as we sweep the clouds. And if you want to add a little bit of wrist movement there, so it kind of feels like you're really sweeping the clouds away, you go ahead and do that. Whatever feels good to you. Okay, and we're going to put it all together. Okay, so now we're ready to begin our Tai Chi practice. If you mess up, don't worry, it doesn't matter. Just, keep moving slowly and gracefully. All right, so let's begin with the Tai Chi breath in. So palms up as you inhale and raise your arms, palms down as you exhale. We're going to do that 2 more times. Inhale and exhale. And now we're going to get ready for circle the platter. Hands out in front of you, palms down, and you're going to move the arms in one direction as though your fingertips are tracing the edges of a big round platter. Last time in this direction. And bring your arms to your lap. We're going to raise those hands up again, and we're going to move in the opposite direction 3 times. If you can, try to follow along with my movements, just to keep yourself moving at a slow pace. And we'll stop here and get ready for circle the drum. So palms face each other, and we're going to move the arms forward like we're tracing the perimeter of a drum and back. We're going to do one more this way. And stop with your hands near your belly button. And now we're going to go the opposite way. So pushing down and up. And last one here. And we will rest our arms down at our waist. And now we're going to carry the ball. So we're holding the ball in between our hands as we bring it up to one side and back down. And let's go the opposite direction now. Up to the other side and back down. I'm going to do one more on each side. And rest again with hands at waist as we get ready for turn the ball. So this time, one hand is on top, the other on bottom, palms facing each other. We're just going to turn the ball one direction and turn it back the other way. Make sure you're breathing, not holding your breath. We're going to do 3 more of these. We're going to bring our arms back down to our waist so we get ready for push-pull. So hands go up in front of you, palms facing away from you, and you're going to push your arms away, turn your palms in, and pull back. Remember to just keep breathing. If I counted correctly, we're going to do each exercise about 6 times. So that means we have 3 more push-pull left. This is a nice one to practice your breathing. You could practice breathing in or out on the out push and the opposite way on the in push. Let's do that one more time. And bring your hands to your waist. We're going to finish with passing clouds. Hands go out to one side, your trunk turns a little bit in that direction as you bring the hands across, sweeping the clouds away and then the other direction. Two more of these. And we'll end with our hands at our waist as we take a final inhale and exhale. Let's do 2 more of those. And on this side, this time, just bring your hands down to your waist. And that's a little bit of Tai Chi for you. I hope that you sensed a little bit of relaxation, and that combination with music and movement, I think, can be particularly calming. If you liked it, go ahead, try this one with your person, or find a whole bunch of other options on the internet. And I'll see you next time. You've got this.